Anyone who knows me, meaning follows me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, knows that I like bite-sized things. I like the sound bite, maybe in 30 seconds or less. So I figured I would just tell you the sermon in one sentence. Ready? Genesis 28, story of Jacob, simply this: wake up and find God on the run. Wake up and find God on the run. Now, also, anyone who knows me from all those worlds of Snapchat and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram knows that I often will post a Snapchat of me running. Any runners here? Anyone else? Any other? A few of us? Okay, a couple of us. All right. Anyone wish they could be a runner? Okay, yes. That was me for about 32 years. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about running in this sermon because it's kind of become one of my new favorite hobbies in life. Like, for example, yesterday I needed eggs to make banana bread, so I decided to run to the grocery store, and I chose the grocery store that was 7 miles away. So we're going to talk about some running. Yep, it's going to be in there. And then also, anyone who knows me knows that I love to read all sorts of different books. I love just absorbing information, and I'm a firm believer in citing your work, letting you know where the information came from. I don't want to get caught plagiarizing anything ever. So here we go. I'm just letting you know the voices that this sermon is built upon. First, one of my favorite Buddhist monks, Thich Nhat Hanh, he once said, "The miracle is not walking on water. The miracle is walking on the earth." So that's one thing that I want you to keep in your head as you hear these words. The second one would be from the Sufi poet Rumi, who says, "There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground." And third comes not from a book, but from a movie, a film, I would say. And this is the cultural icon and role model to high school students everywhere, at least in 1986. Yes, Ferris Bueller, who once said, "Life moves pretty fast. If you don't slow down once in a while, you just might miss it." So that's what we've got coming in today's sermon. And we've got this. Any coffee drinkers? What am I asking? Or maybe let's back it up. Coffee can be your metaphor. Anyone, what is the morning ritual? What is that smoothie, juice, hot water and lemon, loose leaf tea, coffee that comes every day into your life? Today, we're going to make some coffee. Now, I don't know about you, but this is my least favorite part of making coffee. Grinding the beans. I mean, at home, I have one of those things that I just go, and it's done. You might even be someone who's like, I outsource that stuff. I just buy it already ground. Well, today, I want to invite you to be present with the grind. Here's what I mean by that. Jacob, let's look back at Jacob's story. Jacob was experiencing a bit of a grind. We catch Jacob's story at about beginning of Act 2, I would say. Let's back up a little bit. Jacob had an older brother, not older by that much, older by literally a foot. They were twins. Esau came out first, the foot. Esau was the older brother, meaning Esau was the one entitled to inherit pretty much everything. Jacob was the younger brother who said, I think I can trick my dad. He did. Jacob tricks his brother. Jacob tricks his dad. The name Jacob, by the way, means trickster. So Jacob's simply living up to his name. Jacob tricks his brother, tricks his dad, and this isn't just some kind of like, tricked you, you have to do my chores tonight, ha. This is like tricked you, meaning everything that you thought was going to be the life you were going to have, the blessing of God, Jacob's like, ooh, I got that now. So Esau is a little upset. Jacob starts running. Remember, all of us aspiring runners out here? Jacob joins the club. This is where Jacob is feeling a bit of a grind. Now, I don't know about you, but even just grinding coffee beans, it's the part of making coffee that I often want to avoid. I'm like, oh, it just takes so much time. I have to do this. I can't watch a YouTube video while I do it because it makes too much noise and I can't even watch it. I just don't want to do this. Have you ever experienced things in life, the grind, that you're just like, I just don't want to do this? And so maybe like Jacob, I don't want to talk to Esau about this conflict I just caused. Maybe like Jacob, you turn and run. You run. You run from whatever the thing is. You run from whatever the grind is. I've done this. Many of you know my life this past year has been slightly unique. Meaning, this past year, my wife and I separated our marriage and got a divorce. Now, it was very easy to be absent in those moments, to kind of just check out. You never want to wait and watch the water boil. But sometimes there are moments in life when your instinct is to turn and run, but perhaps the invitation is to stop and be present, to watch the water boil. Because yes, it actually will boil if you're watching it. The question is, can you be present long enough to wait? Now, in the midst of my past year, one moment stands out specifically when I intentionally chose to be present when my body wanted to be absent. This was the day that I signed the divorce papers. In many ways, this was the day that I saw as the beginning of something. I hoped it would. I wanted it to be the beginning. I wanted it to be not a moment where I felt stuck, but a moment where I was taking a step forward. So it had been a few months, about 3 or 4 months to be exact, due to an ankle injury and just general not feeling like I wanted to do anything but order takeout and play video games on the weekend. And so on this day, I decided, you know what? I'm done being an aspiring runner. I'm going to be an actual runner. So I put on my shoes, changed my clothes, and went out for a run. Because while Jacob was running away from his grind, I knew that I needed to run into mine. I needed to get out of the apartment, to find a place where all I could do was be present with my body. I didn't want to do it. I mean, who really wants to go running 7 miles just to get a dozen eggs? But I knew that on this day that would mark the beginning of what I call Gym 2.0, I knew on this day I needed to be present with the grind. I needed to stop and watch the water boil. And so out I went, running. This isn't easy. Even now, how many of you want me to keep talking rather than inviting you to be present with your grind? Could it be that God is in this place and we don't know it? Could it be that we're too busy spinning our heads or running from the grind when the invitation is to watch the water boil and to run into the person God is calling you to be? And then this leads to, I would say, the most difficult part of making coffee. Seems easy so far. Wait for it. If you're anything like me, you hate waiting. If you're anything like me, you just want to keep going. As ironic as it might sound, I go running to slow myself down because my mind is always racing. So if I allow my body to move, suddenly my mind might actually find the rhythm of breath and step. Because listening to your body is one of the hardest things. But this is what we see next in Jacob's story. Jacob running from the grind, running from that conflict, running from that emotion. You know the one, you have them too. Running from it, he finds himself exhausted. Jacob wants to keep running, the Jacob in his head, but the Jacob in his bones says, we need to take a break, buddy. How many times do you find yourself at conflict between your head and your hands? How many times do you find it difficult to listen to your body even when your body says, wait? I want the coffee. Wait. But I'm thirsty. Wait. Jacob can't help but listen to his body because his body, it wins. Jacob lies down, a rock for a pillow, and falls asleep. And it's here that Jacob has the iconic dream, inspiring rock anthems all over the world. But this is the hardest part, especially in New York, because in New York, we really have, there's two paces of people on the sidewalk. There's New Yorkers and there's tourists. You can tell the difference just at the pace at which they walk. A New Yorker's walk is like a tourist's jog. We only really know how to go fast and faster. So for us, listening to your body, slowing down, waiting. I mean, I don't know about you, but if I'm like, red light here, I gotta cross, I'm gonna cross now anyway, keep moving, always be going. Perhaps New Yorkers need this invitation most to listen to our bodies and stop and breathe. Maybe we need to invite ourselves to feel more than simply think about those feelings. Maybe we need to recognize that our body just might be more in touch with our spirit than our mind is. Listen to your body. Jacob's body said, we got to take a nap. And that nap changed his life. Never underestimate the power of a nap. Jacob falls asleep. You see, it's hard to dream when you are convincing your body to keep going faster and farther. It's hard to be when you're captive to a culture that says your value comes based on how much you do. Stop. Breathe. The miracle isn't walking on water, it's walking on the earth. Stop. Stop thinking, start feeling. Stop doing and start being. Stop thinking that life is waiting around the next corner and recognize that life has always been right here. When? Now. And now. And now. And now. Waiting isn't easy, but sometimes that anticipation is what we need most. Now, why do we drink coffee? To wake up in the morning, to get some energy, to get that boost, because everyone else is doing it and you're an 8-year-old who wants to go to Starbucks? Why do we drink coffee? What if the answer was simply to drink coffee? Why do we breathe? To get energy, to keep the blood flowing, to get rid of a headache. What if we simply breathed to breathe? Why do you run, for the three of us who are runners? I'll tell you why I run. Some people run to stay in shape. That's a good benefit, I'll take that. Some people run because they want to be as healthy as possible. Yes, confession, I do too. I want to live to be 117 years old. Ask me after worship and I'll tell you why it is that exact number. But my honest answer that I aspire to lean into every day is, why do I run? To run. Why do I run? To feel the ground beneath my feet. To recognize that the miracle isn't walking on water, but maybe it's running on it. I run because there are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. And the sound of my feet and the echo of my breath is a call to worship. No, I don't run with headphones. Yes, I'm weird. I go out running and I just run. And what I notice is that in these moments, I'm invited to wake up, to become conscious of the things that I might not have noticed before. Conscious of the things within myself, the things that I might, like Jacob, want to be running from, that grind behind me. Ooh, why did I say that to that person? Man, why does my ego still get in the way? Ooh, that tweet really hurt, because those are the things that your pastor thinks about. When you run, when you do anything with that kind of intentional presence and mindfulness, walking, sitting, eating, riding the subway can be an act of mindfulness. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground, including the New York subway. Just don't actually kiss that ground. I run to become conscious of the things that I would often become unconscious of. We live in a world where there are too many things that we can become unconscious of. Let's give a simple list: sexism, homophobia, transphobia, misogyny, patriarchy, racism. This list cannot end, but we work for a day when it is no more. And this list will continue to go on as long as it is in the unconscious of our culture. And so I run to become conscious, to notice things within me and to notice things within the world around me. Here's an example. A couple weeks ago, it was the morning, I went for a run. One of my usual routes, it's 2 miles north to the top of Inwood and then 2 miles back home. I was running just before sunrise, which is a gorgeous way to see the Hudson River and even a gorgeous way to see New Jersey. Oh, sorry about that. I'm running, it's about 5:30 in the morning, I make it up there, I hit the 2-mile mark, and in the distance at Inwood Park on this running trail, I notice 2 vehicles. Now, it's like sunrise, so there's no one else awake because I'm the only crazy one. And I'm up there and I see these 2 vehicles and I'm like, what's going on up here? What are these 2 vehicles? And I get closer and I notice the name on the side, NYPD. Oh, okay, what are they doing here in my little running route with no one else around? Is there something I should know? I get closer and I get closer, and I realize it's actually about 4 police officers having their morning coffee, just standing there, starting their day. And I'm like, oh, okay. I run closer, I run past them. They see me, they smile, they nod, they say good morning. I'm like, good morning. I make the loop, I run back, and then I start thinking, would they have smiled? Would they have nodded? Would they have said good morning? Had I been maybe someone who looked different? If the color of my skin was darker? If I was wearing not just my running tank top, but a hooded sweatshirt? How would these police officers in this secluded space have greeted me? How would I have approached them? Now, anyone in this room who shares a skin tone as me, I want to ask all of us a question. When did you first realize that you were white? What does it mean to become conscious of the things that we are often unconscious of? What does it mean to wake up, to see yourself for who you are, and to see the world for what it truly is? What does it mean to work in such a way that these unconscious systems of oppression and injustice are dismantled in every step that you take? We grind, we boil, we wait. We sit. The invitation in a cup of coffee is to wake up. Not just in the sense of caffeine. No. The invitation in a cup of coffee is to wake up, to be present to that which you were typically absent of, to be conscious to those things that have always lived in the unconscious. How much different does a taste of coffee when you have ground the beans, watched the water boil, stood there waiting for it to be ready, and poured that cup? How much different will your life be if you are present with the grind, watching the water boil, waiting as you listen to your body, becoming conscious of those things that you have taken for granted? Yeah, we can just get our coffee to go from Starbucks. But are you tasting it? That's not a critique of Starbucks. That's just a critique of your tongue. What does it mean for you to be present with this moment, with all the moments that make up our lives? Jacob runs from his grind. Jacob's body finally says, "Nuh-uh, we are taking a nap." Jacob lays down on a rock, an odd choice for a pillow, but his choice nonetheless. And Jacob wakes up from a dream. Wakes up, maybe for the first time in his life. The same invitation for all of us to wake up. Jacob wakes up, and he says words that I pray we might echo in every breath, in every step, in every sip. God was in this place, and I did not know. Amen.